As I sit in my home today, I do bring greetings of peace, love, and blessings unto each of you. This is the Queen Mother Kradin. I would like to thank each of you for your prayers and everything that you have put forth and covering me when I was sick. I would also want one of the first things that I say is to the villages of the Gambia, to the villages of Nigeria, and all of those that I have been supporting and sending my love. I want you to know that I have not stopped, that we have had 8 weeks, and later on in this video I will explain to you why the funds have not gotten through to you for the last 7 or 8 weeks. Those funds have been signed to continue, and they will continue. My support will be forever unto the rest of my life. Thank you for your time and patience as Queen Mother go through this difficult time in my life. I would like to say something that is extremely important, and I want to speak on domestic violence. I want to let everyone know how sick I have been, but there are some things that I believe take priority over other things. As everyone knows, I have worked for victims of domestic violence for over 30 years. I was a very young person. I gave up my young life, a lot of things I've never done, because my mother had been a victim of abuse also. She helped me to embrace this beautiful work. I fell in love with this work. I fell in love with the victims, and I wanted to make a difference, and I wanted to see lives change. And I believe a person should practice what they preach. I don't believe any woman, even a man as far as that is concerned, that is working with victims of domestic violence and teaching that domestic violence is wrong. I don't think that person should be upholding domestic violence by living in abuse in their own home. As you can see, I sit in my home today. I sit in my family room today, and I sit in my family room peacefully. I have lived in abuse with Stephen for, I would say, for the last 3.5 years. The abuse, as always, escalated. I have totally got rid of him, erased him out of my life. I have pressed charges. He has been arrested for the abuse. He has been put in jail for the abuse, and he will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The reason I am saying these things is to let you know just some of the things I've been going through, why I've been so absent. But some of the reasons is to let you know, if you are a woman and you say you work with victims of domestic violence and you're doing anything to help child bride or victims that's being abused, then you ought to put your money where your mouth is. I think it is disgraceful for a woman to allow a man to abuse her, and she says she's working with victims of abuse. You should speak up, just as I do. I speak up against abuse even when it's in my own home. I speak up against abuse even when it's someone that I love. I loved my husband very dearly, and I wanted to be with him. But I could not live in that kind of abuse. He had threatened to kill me on more than one occasion. Here recently, he carried out that threat when he attempted to choke the life out of me until I couldn't breathe. And at that point, it was over. The law intervened, and the law did what the law does. I have no intentions of letting anyone abuse me. I've said from the beginning of my relationship, and I'll say to the end, I told him when I first met him that any man that put their hands on me, I am going to prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. There will be no getting away. There will be no letting you off. there will be repercussions. And I think that should go for any person. No one has the right to abuse another human being. And when someone tell me that they feel they do have the right to abuse another human being, then I know that person needs a lot of help. Now, some people who engage in abusing another person or bullying another person, they do it because they was raised that way, and that's all they know. And I'm not saying that was my husband's problem, but I am saying that no woman should deal with it, put up with it, or tolerate it, or tolerate financial abuse. A man should not be with a woman because he thinks she has money. He thinks she can be his security. I don't think that that is the reason for a relationship. You should be in a relationship because you love him, he loves you. You guys love each other, and you want to bond together as a partnership and take care of one another and seek out what is best for each other, not one person being held responsible for another person's security. I believe that, and I'm going to stand by that. And definitely, if a person don't give you money, they definitely don't deserve to be abused. I am not a hypocrite. That's what I want to say. I'm not a hypocrite. I don't fight up against domestic violence and then stay in it myself. I'm too strong of a woman for that. And I want to just, as an older woman, I want to give a word to the women out there. Don't do that. If you're working with victims of domestic violence, you yourself have to be an example. You know, we have to be an example to our daughters, you know, to our nieces, to our grandchildren, and to the public in general. The reason why men abuse women so very bad is because they see a pattern that men are getting away with. They see a pattern of women letting them get away with. Women they put the men in jail, and then they don't even prosecute them. You're saying to that man that it's okay not only to abuse me, but to abuse other women. If a man abuses you, he's going to do the same in his next relationship. And, you know, there's an education need to take place, because a lot of women will say, well, he never abused me. That's because they don't know what abuse is. You know, there's a physical abuse, there's a mental abuse, there's a financial abuse, and then there's a bullying. I know I face the kind of abuse that says everything is your fault. If I call you a name, it's your fault. If I hit you, it's your fault. You know, if I knock your teeth out, I did it because it's your fault. If I don't have any health insurance, that's all your fault. You know, everything that happens in their lives falls upon you. Everything is your fault. And that is a form of bullying and abuse. And it's brainwashing to lower your, not only your self-esteem, but to just make you feel like you're not even a worthy person. I took a vow of honesty. And in that vow of honesty, it says that I am not going to work with victims of abuse and be a victim myself. If I work with victims of abuse, and if I teach them better, and if I let them know that abuse is wrong, then I am not going to allow myself to be a very poor example that abuse is okay. Because when they see me go through it, and I don't do anything, when you let your daughters, your young daughters, and your young sons also see you go through abuse, and you do nothing, that is your way as a parent, as a mother, saying to them, abuse is pretty much okay. I sign off on you living this kind of life. Well, I don't. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to work with victims of abuse. And then I sit at home and let a man hit on me, or let a man mentally abuse me and say things to me and bully at me. I am not going to live with it, and I am not going to tolerate it. And I pray that each of you reads my words that I've said with nothing but pure love, because I mean every word out of love. And I am so glad that that relationship is over, that I am free, and I am capable of actually taking care of myself and not letting a person just completely, absolutely, without cause, step all over me. And I want to say this. Before I move on briefly, I have some most beautiful, wonderful friends that have stood by me. I appreciate you, His, because there's things that His told me in the very beginning to look out for when they pulled this person's record, to look out for. There was a complete background, and the background did not look good. And I appreciate your wisdom. I appreciate your understanding. And I, most of all, Dante His, thank you for standing by me and being very strong and protecting my best interests. I appreciate you so very much for that. And, you know, a lot of people would say things, but I've been knowing Dante His for over 30 years. I had no children when I met him. My firstborn is 36 years old. It's been just that long, almost 14 years. I was a snotty-nosed child, and so was he. That's how long I've known him. So we practically almost pretty much grew up together. And I appreciate you protecting my best interests and being honest with me and telling me the truth and the facts of the matter. Thank you so much. I also appreciate Sarah. Sarah is my work as my assistant, but she's the best in the world. She watched me go through the whole thing. She had so much grace, love, and respect for me, and I appreciate her so very much. I cannot close without saying my best friend, Rita Harden, you have been wonderful. I was going through so much, and I was suffering, and Rita had the wisdom to know that all of my sickness was not necessary from sickness, from internal medicine sickness. So she got on a plane and she came all the way down to where I live, and she saw me, and she, at that point when she got where I am at, she actually saw some of the abuse that I was going through. She saw it first-handedly. She witnessed it. And at that point, she was in tears. And I appreciate your love for me, how you got on the plane, you didn't hesitate. And you came down to see about your friend. I appreciate you. I don't have a whole lot of friends, but I will say the ones I have, they know that I love them. And I know that they love me, and I appreciate your effort and your love. I appreciate the whole His family, even Grandpa His, how you were so kind. I love each and every one of you, my sons, my daughters, and my grandchildren was so very kind, and I appreciate. And I want to say I love the villages with all my heart. And we had a difficult time for 8 weeks, and that difficult time, it is over with, and your funds and your money will continue to come. Look for it on the regular date that it comes. I love each of you. In my closing, I want to say peace, love, and blessings unto all. Thank you so much for your time, love, and your attention. Shalom.